everyone. We're very glad that you could join us this evening. My name is Sue Sargo, and together with Jan Koch, we are the co-presiding officers of the League of Women Voters of Center County. So we are a nonpartisan organization, and our focus is on voter education, whether it is giving you access to candidates' views on the issues that are important to you, encouraging you to vote and make your voice heard, or to protecting the rights of the voting rights of the citizens of Center County. During this evening, we'll try to answer all the questions that you may have about the new vote-in mailing process. And just to let you know, over here on my right, you'll see me looking over here every once in a while because that's my old school teleprompter, and it keeps me on track and it helps me not to skip any important information that you might need. So bear with me on that. This pandemic that's been caused, the COVID-19 pandemic that's been caused by this novel coronavirus, states all around the country have had to change their ways of doing business, including the business of voting, and to keep everyone safe as much as possible. And Pennsylvania actually got a head start on making changes to their way of voting in the fall of 2019, when via bipartisan effort, Act 77 was passed and signed by Governor Wolf. And that is what created this new mail-in ballot. Mail-in voting itself is not new. It's been around since the Civil War. And Pennsylvania has been using absentee ballots for 100 years or more. So voting by mail is not new. It's just the new ballot application for the mail-in ballot, and no excuse mail-in ballot that's new, but the procedure itself remains essentially the same. A little perspective might be helpful. There are currently 5 states that vote primarily by mail: Colorado, Hawaii, Oregon, who was the first in 1998, Utah, and Washington State. And several other states across the country have changed their way of doing business, as I mentioned, to allow for certain circumstances, such as a terrible pandemic when over 200,000 of our fellow Americans have perished. So you get the idea. It's not new, but there seems to be some controversy and confusion about it, so that we hope we can clear that up for you this evening. So what exactly is the difference between an absentee ballot that we're familiar with and the new mail-in ballot, no excuse ballot that was created by Act 77? So let's start with who can apply for an absentee ballot. First of all, you have to be a registered voter in Pennsylvania. College students who are not registered to vote at their school address can use an absentee ballot. People whose work or vacation take them away from the municipality where they live. Those with a physical disability or an illness that prevents them from going to their polling place. Members of the military, of course, have been using this longer than anyone with very little problems. People who may have a conflict because of religious obligations. And finally, inmates who have not been convicted of a felony can all vote for or apply for an absentee ballot. In other words, you have to have a reason to apply for to vote absentee, or an excuse for why you can't go to the polling place. So then, who can apply for the new mail-in ballot? Well, any Pennsylvania registered voter who chooses to apply can apply. That's it. It's just that simple. No excuse is needed. So let's talk a little bit about the two ballots. Let's start with the absentee ballot. Jan, you want to pick up on that?
Sure. Sure. I'll just see if I can get to the share screen here, and okay, share screen. Share. Okay. Here's the application. Can you all see that?
Yeah, I think they can.
Okay. Let's see if we can make it any bigger. Oh, well, let's try that. Anyway, this is the Pennsylvania application for absentee ballot. It is, I really need to make this bigger. Let's
There's the,
see.
how about the
There
little,
you
oh, okay.
Now okay. And you can see as we walk through it, what it asks for. Simple information, your name, your birth date, your telephone, your occupation, and an email address. I have to tell you, an email or a cell phone number is really helpful. Sometimes they do communicate to you that way. So it can be helpful to fill out that information. Then the information on your address, your municipality that you live in. And if you know your ward and your voting district, you could put those down, but it's not necessary. A lot of people, when they first move into the area, or even people that have been around for a while, aren't sure what their ward is or what their voting district is. Where to mail the ballot, and this is the important part. If you just want it mailed to your house, you can say same as above. If you want it, like for the college students who are maybe registered at home, but are here in State College at Penn State, they may want their ballot mailed here at Penn State. Now with college students, just for a point of information, they have a choice. They can register at their place of residence where their parents live, or at the university. So they have both choices, whichever they feel more committed to in terms of, I guess, their political process. Identification, and here's where you need some identification from Pennsylvania. You need either a driver's license or a PennDOT ID card number, or the last 4 digits of your Social Security. So that is how they will identify you. And as an absentee ballot, you need that reason. And you have to say why you are not going to be able to come to the polls. And that's what you get into Section A, your absence from the area, Section B, whether you have an illness or a physical disability. And always at the bottom there is did somebody else help you with the form? And you have to declare if that is the case. So that gives you an idea of what the application looks like for an absentee ballot. If we now look at the same one for a regular mail-in ballot that we have now, let's see if I can pull that up too.
I bet.
I'm sorry, did someone say something?
Yeah, I did. I bet you can pull it up.
You're so confident.
That's right.
Okay, here we go. Yes, I think this should be. Okay, here's the mail-in ballot. And you can see it's actually a little simpler because we're not dealing with that reason. We're talking about printing your name, your birth date, your phone, your address, where to mail the ballot, your identification number, that's all the same. But there's no other information about a reason, just a declaration. Just that you are able to, excuse me, okay, mail-in, okay, that you are able to vote in the ballot at the forthcoming primary, but you know, you're just requesting that you want to have a mail-in ballot. The annual mail-in ballot request means that for that year, if you do this, for example, in the primary, and you check off you would like to receive the ballot, the mail-in ballots for the entire year, they will automatically mail you the ballot for the general election in the fall. The next year, you will automatically get another application. So then you will have a choice whether each year you do want to get that or not. So it's a clear choice for you how you want to participate with the mail-in ballot. Do you want to do it and do it for the year? Do you want to just do it for one election? You can choose to do that. Or do you want to do it consistently over the coming years? Okay, so you have your application and you've submitted it. You can submit it by mail. You could have done it online too. From this point on, the procedure for both the absentee and the mail-in ballot are identical. So you see that was the only difference. Now we're going through the procedures and we're going to be talking about both of them. You still have time to apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot no later than Monday, October 27th by 5 p.m. You can do it, as I mentioned, online. Votespa.com is an excellent source. Or if you want to go to Bellefonte, to the Willowbank building where the election office is for Center County, you can go there and apply in person. And you can always track your application. Center County has set up a new website called centercountyvotes.com. It's a really excellent website. If you go under the frequently asked questions, the FAQs, you can find exactly how to track your ballot. You can also find that on votespa.com. There are some wonderful resources out there to make sure you know that your application was received, and then it will notify you. If you go on that same site, it will let you know when your ballot has been mailed to you, and subsequently when your ballot has been accepted after you've completed your ballot.
That's a very important point.
Yes. As soon as the, Sue, do you want to pick up from here and I can show
Sure.
things?
Sure, that's
Screen?
fine. So as soon as the Office of Elections has verified your voter registration status and your application for whichever ballot you choose, you will be placed on the list to receive your ballot by mail. The Department of State has already approved the ballots now, and they've shipped them to the county elections offices across the state for verification and for testing. And the testing has to do with how their machines will read the ballot, that sort of testing. And that has all been done, and the ballots are now at the printing house to be printed in mass. And they'll be mailed beginning this week in batches, and there will be, after the first batch goes out, there'll be one daily, a batch going out daily. So your ballot should be arriving, well before the end of October, is the hope. So now that your ballot has arrived, let's talk a little bit about that process. When you're ready, Jan.
It's easier for me to do this if you're doing the others, but let's see.
We make a pretty good team.
We work on it. Okay. Here we go. Okay, this is a sample. Of course, it's not the real ballot, as you can see. But you get to choose. Imagine these were your choices for legislators or for president, and you would have the circles the same way, and you would have to blacken each oval completely, and that's the important thing. Do not cross out and erase your vote. May not count if you do so. If you make a mistake or a stray mark, ask for a new ballot from the poll workers. That's assuming you're in person, because the ballot will look the same. Okay, now you've got your ballot, you've decided who to vote for. Oh, and while I'm talking about that, deciding who to vote for, you all may know already who you want to vote for president, or you may be waiting for the debates tonight, and in subsequent debates. But you may not be as confident about choices for the other positions on the ballot. I mean, we'll be voting for Auditor General. We'll be voting for Attorney General. There are races that cover the local legislators in our regions, both federal and state. So we encourage you to do some research. And the best way to do that is the League of Women Voters puts up a website called vote411.org. And if you go and take a look at that website, you can put in your address. It'll tell you all the races that will be on your ballot. It will have information about the candidates that they have provided themselves. And you can take a look at that and decide which candidates you want to vote for. So we encourage you to use that as one of, I'm sure there are other resources out there, but we feel very strongly that it does a good job of presenting the legislators. We will be publishing our voter's guide, which is the subset that affects Center County. We will be publishing that in the Center Daily Times sometime in mid-October, so that will be available in a print form too. But it is available right now online. So if you're getting that ballot early and you want to research who to vote for, it's a great resource. Okay, so you've got your ballot. And now we're talking about the envelopes. If you haven't heard everything on the news lately, there's been a lot of information about the secrecy envelope. And that's the first thing that you're going to do is put your ballot folded up and put it in a secrecy envelope. Very, very simple. It's not something that requires, where we are, share screen. It's not something that requires a lot of identification. It's just a simple white envelope that identifies that you are putting in an official election ballot. So you've folded your ballot, you've put it in the envelope, you seal that envelope. That's called the secrecy envelope. After doing that, you're going to take that same envelope and look to put it in the bigger envelope that you will mail back if that's your choice. And we can talk about the options that you have too.
Even if you're not going to mail it back, you still put it in that outer envelope. And there's a reason for that.
Yes. Okay. Here is the outer envelope that it will go to. It will be pre-addressed to go to the Center County Office of Elections. It will have no postage necessary because that is being paid by your tax dollars this year. It will have a barcode with your name and address there. So it is a secure first class mail. Yeah, I know there's been some discussion about that. It's first class mail and no postage is necessary. So that's what we are looking at right now in terms of sending that envelope. Okay, so you've got your ballot inside the secrecy envelope, that's sealed. You've got the secrecy envelope inside this external envelope, but you're not quite done yet. You have to look at the back of the envelope. And if I can pull that up, there's an affidavit there, or a declaration, I think is how they describe it. Okay, share screen. Here it is. All right. This is what the back of the envelope looks like. Whoops. Okay, it has a voter's declaration. I hereby declare that I'm qualified to vote, yada, yada, yada. The voter signs there, you date it, you print your name, you put your address. This is very important to sign the back of this declaration that's on the back of the envelope. If you're unable to do it because of an illness or physical disability, this section applies. There's a little, it's hard to see here, there's a little check mark here saying, you know, did you sign it? Did you do what you needed to do?
Did you put your ballot in the secrecy envelope? because
Right.
no naked if the ballot comes in what's called naked without that secrecy envelope, that ballot won't be counted. So it's very important that you put your ballot in that secrecy envelope, seal it, and then put it into the return envelope to make sure that it's going to be counted. I'm sorry, Jan, I interrupted you.
No, that's all right. I appreciate that. While I'm working all these sharing. Okay, so we're urging you not to wait till the last minute and to follow the instructions. I also understand there'll be an instruction sheet which you get too, which will highlight all these things that you need to do. But once you've completed your ballot, you've researched the candidates, you've marked the candidates properly, you've sealed it in all the envelopes as required and signed your affidavit on the back, your declaration on the back. We really encourage you to return it as soon as possible. As you noted, the postage is already prepaid. And there's some, as always, it seems this year, there's some legal issues pending. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court determined that ballots can be received by the County Board of Elections up to Friday, November 6th, if they are postmarked by 8 p.m. on Election Day, November 3rd. But that ruling is being challenged. So our guidance to you at this point in time is just to make sure you get that ballot in as soon as possible, preferably before 8 p.m. on Election Day. So that's important to note. You can return your ballot several ways. You can put it in your mailbox at home or in a mailbox on the street. You can take it in person to the County Board of Elections, again in Bellefonte at the Willow Bank building. Even though the building is currently locked, there are officials available at the door who will accept your ballot between the hours of 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. So if you really feel like you want to hand it to some person, you can do that in Bellefonte. Or you can choose to use one of the 8 safe and secure ballot return boxes. There will be installed around the county on Friday, October 3rd, and available for use beginning Monday. Sue, do you want to go over where they are, and then I can
do that. Yeah. One of them will be located in Center Hall at the Magisterial District Judge's Office, Ferguson Township Municipal Building, Patton Township Municipal Building, Phillipsburg Magisterial District Judge's Office, the Spring Township Municipal Building, State College Borough Municipal Building, the Willow Bank Building, and hopefully the Hub Robeson Building on campus. That is still being worked out with Penn State. Turn the page on my teleprompter here. The ballot return boxes will be emptied on a daily basis by election office officials, and the envelopes will be sorted daily into their precincts for getting things ready to be counted on Election Day. No ballots will be opened or counted until Election Day. That is the law. And just like Jan mentioned on the other item, this is being challenged in the courts, so please check the county elections office website for the latest in the information. We've done our best to give you the information as it stands right now, but it could be tomorrow morning when you read the newspaper, it will be different. That's really how quickly things are changing in this election cycle. And as confusing and difficult as it is for us, think how it is for the elections officials. It's got to be a nightmare for them. So that is still a little bit up in the air, but we are proceeding. The county is proceeding with putting the ballot boxes out, and they will be empty until that case is settled. There's actually more good news for those who have not yet applied for an absentee or mail-in ballot. Beginning Wednesday, October 7th, there will be a satellite office opened up at the Bryce Jordan Center Ticket Center. And that will run through October 24th. The office hours will be 9 to 5. They will be open the 7th to the 11th, the 14th to the 17th, and the 21st to the 24th. And again, you don't need to worry about writing all that down. It's going to be on the centercountyvotes.com website. All of that is right there. So registered voters bring their completed ballot application for verification and receive their ballot right then. They vote it, place it in the secrecy envelope, put it in that outer envelope, and then place it into the receptacle there at the Bryce Jordan Center. And again, I remind anybody who chooses to do that to put it in the secrecy ballot and then put that secrecy ballot sealed into the outer envelope. None of that, and write your declaration, just as Jan had gone over. None of that changes. You're just doing it right there as soon as you turn in your application. Then that's pretty much it, I believe, for this evening. And we thank you for joining us, and we're happy to take your questions. We hope this information has been helpful for you, and best wishes on your election day. So any questions in the queue?
There are no questions yet.
Okay.
But what I'm gonna do is,
Since we have such a small group, we can open it up.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
I
Sure.
think so. So everybody, you're welcome to unmute yourselves and start your videos if you want. I know when you guys joined us, I was talking about how I had registered myself to vote by mail earlier this year in the primaries. And I was thrown by that secrecy envelope. I completely forgot it. And then I had to, like, I don't even know, if my vote ended up being counted, because I had to finagle that seal open so that I could put everything back together and then reseal it. So I got the email from the elections office saying that they gave my ballot, but I don't know if it was ever counted. So we do have one question from John.
Okay.
How do I know whether to add my middle initial to the signature?
Well,
I would recommend you sign it as your name is on the ballot, on the form, the return address, how it comes to you. Just, if your middle initial is there, use that. If it's not there, then don't bother. There has been guidance from the Secretary of State for Pennsylvania that they will not throw out a ballot or void a ballot just because of a signature match issue. So while they will be looking to match signatures with the one that's on record, they're not going to throw out a ballot just because it didn't make an exact match.
That's really good to know, and not something I had heard of yet. Irene is asking, is it possible to go and vote in person if we have applied for a mail-in ballot?
I could take that one. Yes, it is. And you've received your mail-in ballot or your absentee ballot, whichever one you requested. And then you think, gosh, there's been so much confusion about voting. Maybe I should just go and vote in person, which is always great to vote in person. So the process for that would be like this. There's two scenarios that could happen. You take your ballot with you to your regular polling place, and you'll talk to the chief judge at that polling place and explain that you want to vote in person. You brought your ballot with you. The chief judge will give you a little form to fill out. It's like a half sheet little thing. You're just signing that you're surrendering that ballot. And the chief judge will put that in a special container to return to the Willow Bank office. And he or she will have a new ballot, in-person ballot issued to you to vote a regular ballot like everybody else at that polling place. So that's the first scenario. And the one that you probably would find preferable, because you're going to be voting a regular ballot just like everybody else there at the polling place. The other scenario would be if you forget to take your ballot with you, or your ballot came and you had decided, well, I'm going to vote in person, so I'm just going to shred this, or whatever you've done with it. You go there and you tell the chief judge, you still see the chief judge, and the chief judge says, well, you don't have your ballot with you. So what will happen is that you'll need to vote a provisional ballot at that time, because there's no way to verify whether you were actually turned in that other ballot that you didn't bring with you, or whatever the case may be. So the safe thing to do is to vote a provisional ballot. And once it all gets back to the Willow Bank office and they check those provisional ballots to make sure you haven't voted, then your vote will be counted. I hope that answers your question.
That's great. Thanks, Sue.
Sure.
So, yeah, actually that was really good information to have. So like in the example that I just gave, if I had messed that up, I could have then taken it to the in-person polling,
That's right.
entered it and surrendered that ballot because I'd messed
Yes.
it up,
Yes.
gotten a new ballot. So that would have assured that my vote was counted then.
Mhm.
That's great.
And you can see what they're doing. They're making sure that you're not voting
Not voting
twice.
twice.
Yeah. So, if you don't have the ballot to surrender to them, for them to void, you can only vote provisionally until they verify that there wasn't a ballot submitted in your name.
Yeah. That's great. Are there any other questions here coming through? I don't see any.
I think you can have confidence in Center County that everything that Sue and I have seen, they are doing everything to make sure that this is a very safe and secure election. Whether you're
Absolutely.
voting by mail or whether you're voting in person. So I have confidence.
I'm sorry.
That's all right.
If you choose to go to the polls, you'll see that the poll workers all have a mask on. You'll have each voter who comes through will get a pin that's clean and new to sign the poll book and to vote your ballot, or you can bring your own. There'll be hand sanitizer there for your use. So they're trying as hard as they can to follow all of the guidance from the CDC. So you should feel very safe still going. And the tables where you vote, the voting booths will be cleaned in between voters and stuff like that. So, you can feel safe either way, whether you choose to go in person the traditional way or you want to try the new mail-in system.